If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell icon to get the latest updates.
Yeah, any questions?
No, actually not. So it was just the project integration management, right?
Yeah.
So I was just going through some other definitions also. So it's just like coordinating all the different tasks of the project.
Yeah. When we go through the subsequent chapters for each of them, then I'll share some templates. Right. In each of these, we'll have different templates so that you can prepare the same. Right. Because integration is a combination of all.
So like basically, so project integration management involve all the different tasks of the project. Right. So this is how we go through the project, like in the managing from the very beginning.
Right. We'll take one parameter and then we will analyze like scope, time, cost, quality, all that. Right. One by one.
Okay.
Today we will talk about scope management. Right. Therefore, this is scope. Again, there is like what is in scope of work, what is out of scope of work. All these we should know. Right? Okay. So this is the first document that you're going to create related to the requirements. Right. For scope is like say for example there are 10 modules, like which are the modules which are currently focusing, that is called in scope of work, like say 3 modules, other 7 modules will be out of scope of work, like that. Therefore we have to define this scope document first, right? Therefore we're creating some scope management plan, and how the project scope will be defined or validated or controlled, all this we will see as part of this.
And who will create this document?
Yes, project like scope management plan is created by PM, and WBS is created by PM.
So the project scope is created by PM.
A scope management plan, right?
Okay, and who creates the project scope?
Project scope is again mutual discussion with the client. Right? Therefore, sometimes business analyst will create, sometimes BA will create. Project scope, most of the times, like they have to, both in collaboration, they will create, right? BA and PM.
PM.
Again, there are 2 things. Here, there are 2 things. One is product scope and project scope. Product scope, the features and functions that related to the product, service, or a result are called as product, right? Like say, for example, product is like high level view, right? Like multiple projects and how to position the product and all that. Therefore, that is one document. Project scope is one more document. So that is like, what is the work that you're doing within the given date, given time, what are the deliverables, all that you are talking about project scope. These 2 documents, like depending on you're working on a project or a product, you will be creating as part of scope, the project scope management or product scope management.
Okay.
And while defining the scope, we should also consider what are the problems, what is the business need, why you want to start this project, right? Identify this, we are talking to clients or end users, why we need to start this project, what is the business need, that we are analyzing and then preparing, right? And business need, again, there are 3 different things, like say why you want to start the project, just to increase return on investment you want to take the project, just as part of brand value you want to take the project, or just as part of compliance you want to implement the project. Why you want to take the project is part of identifying the business needs, is one thing that you will do as part of scope. And one more thing you will add in scope management is like what are the viable solutions for meeting these needs. The solutions, when you're talking to architects or developers and understand like how they are going to implement these features into the software so that they can provide a viable solution. Right? Mainly what type of approach to be followed, or how you're going to implement, in which module, which requirement need to be implemented, like that. And apart from that, we also add like how do we manage these stakeholder requirements, right? Therefore, there may be different people who will be giving requirements. Therefore, there may be some business side, or there may be from end user side, there may be from subject matter expert, or different various stakeholders will be there. from different area, audit people or business people or end users, clients, developers, testers, production support team. Therefore, how their individual requirements are fulfilled in the product. That we need to analyze as part of scope management. And also we should facilitate like how we are successfully implementing this product and deploying to the end users. Implementing these features in terms of product or a service or an end result or as a part of program or a project. And then we are giving it to end users. This all we will cover as part of scope management.
Okay.
Therefore, all these scope management helps to avoid common problems like constantly changing requirements, overspending, wasting time, failure to meet deadlines, all this. Therefore, this is like you are committing with the client saying that this is work that we will consider as a high focus or high priority, and the outer scope of work is low priority, like that. Right. When we define the plan, we will tell like these are high priority, these are low priority, so that we can tailor the requirements. Therefore, only these requirements to be implemented in the release 1, only these requirements to be implemented in release 2, like that. Right. You can control these requirements. You can also tell like what approach to be followed and how stable these requirements are. You can give like high level governance to these. Right? Like policies, procedures, or guidelines you are implementing related to the requirements, for how you're going to handle them. All these can be covered as part of this scope management process. So that you're avoiding all this, avoiding wasting of time, avoiding overspending, or failure to meet deadlines. All these can be avoided. Therefore, all these different tasks which is covered as part of this. First one is plan scope management. Here, plan scope management, here we are talking about like how we define the scope or validate the scope. Therefore, here we are talking we're taking the inputs from project charter or project management plan, and we are preparing this document. You're using a lot of elicitation techniques like data analysis, meetings, and all that, and you're preparing this document. Right? And here what happens, like mainly defining what is in scope of work, what is out of scope of work. This is again, it is part of scope management plan, but still you're preparing this as part of scope, right? Therefore, what process to be implemented in the project, right? What creation to be done in terms of work breakdown structure, or how do you establish scope baselines, or how do you formulate acceptance? All that you decide as part of this, right? Basically, you have to identify like what are the requirements from the client that need to be implemented in the current project. Right? These requirements, when you are gathering these requirements, you also consider what is the vision of the project. What is the vision, mission of the project? Is there any procurement strategy? Is there any risks related to the project? Is there any resources planning? Is there any design to be implemented? What is the approach to be followed? All these other things we should know when we are defining the scope. Right? Which type of SDLC model we are following, or what are the high level requirements? Right? How we translate these requirements in deliverables, all these we should know as part of planning the scope. Right? Any
Do you have breakdown of these points also?
Yeah. Hello?
Do you have the breakdown of these points in the slideshow also?
Slides are given by them. I think it is not there here.
Yeah, because I'm saying because
yeah, nothing is there. Like only the scope plan is there. Therefore, this is just like what techniques you are using to prepare this scope plan. Expert judgment is like people talking to different audience and then work on this. Therefore, I will share my slides, right, so that you can go through them later. Right?
Your slides are also updated here.
No, these are like Zarantech slides. Right?
No, in the materials on the website, on the blog.
Yeah, I will share those. I will also update my slides. Right? In that, I will add all these topics.
Because why I'm asking, so if I know how to actually what includes in what documents, so that will be helpful for me.
Yes, I'll share the templates also. And also there is one more thing, like you're creating even work breakdown structure. Right. For that also we will cover today. Right. How to create this work breakdown structure.
And for those points also, I want to know like what exactly comes in that document.
Yes, we will discuss. This is the first document. You will create, you will do some kickoff meetings before starting the project. What is the roles and responsibilities of each of the team? Like who is a lead, who is a backup lead, or who is responsible for UI development or database development, all that. Clearly you are defining the roles and responsibilities during these kickoff meetings. And how do you collect these requirements? Like you're collecting requirements by using variety of elicitation techniques, like interviews, surveys, brainstorming sessions. You're doing a lot of elicitation and then extracting the information. Right?
Which technique you said?
Like interviews, surveys, brainstorming.
No, you said a word for that. What technique?
Elicitation techniques. Elicitation.
Okay.
Yeah.
ELICITATION.
Yes.
Elicitation. Okay.
Elicitation. Are you able to see the chat? Right. Elicitation means like what are the different tools or techniques you're using to extract the information from the audience? Using variety of meeting management techniques, like say interviews, surveys, brainstorming sessions. Elicit means to bring out or to bring forth some latent or potential information from the audience. That is called as elicitation. Right? If you're going through BA, like business analyst, then all those BA, BOK, all those chapter 10, 50 techniques are nothing but elicitation techniques.
Which they use for gathering requirements.
Yeah, which is used for extracting the information from the audience.
Okay.
And all these requirements we are gathering and define the scope. Therefore, this also you have to interact with client, end user, and project manager. All the three people should agree. Like this is the high level document. Say, for example, you have defined, you have taken a requirement, but project manager says technically it is not feasible. You should not add that in the scope document. All the three people should agree. Client, end user, and project manager. Then only you can add that in the scope document. Right? Like define scope, like it concerns with what to be included in the project, what not to be included as part of deliverables. Right? And it can be even product or project scope also. Right? And it is part of your requirement documentation. And it is also part of your project charter or any information about risks, assumptions, constraints. All these also can be added as part of scope. Right?
So who sits in the scope meeting when they define the scope? Three people are project manager, BA, and the end user.
Client.
The client. So if we want to know about the technical problems, then we don't allow any technical person to sit in the meeting, or
technical person is like project manager. Right? You should take the decision related to technology.
Okay.
If a project manager is not able to talk any about technology, then add some architects or somebody part of the meeting. Right? Mainly when defining the scope, we are mainly talking what to be included in the project, what not to be included in the project. Right? Therefore, here we have to identify like what when we are starting the project, when we are stopping the project, what is the business process to be added, what are the assumptions to be added, what is the time frame, what technology we are using, or who are the customers or stakeholders, what type of geography this product is going to serve, and what is the start and end date of the project. All these we should add as part of this. And again, we have to baseline the scope for the project. And baseline means you should get it signed off from the client. Like this is what we do as part of the version 1 or version 2.
Okay.
All these we should add as part of project scope. Whereas project scope is mainly related to a product, project or a service, right? Or a result. Whereas product scope is across the features or functions for the product.
So how long does it take to create a project scope?
it should not take more than, it depends. Like say, for example, if there's 100% of SDLC, only 15% of time is given for requirements. Right? This whole scope is nothing but 15% of your SDLC time. 15%.
So in general, like how many meetings we need to create a scope?
That how many meetings depends on the who is a decision maker, who is part of the meeting, right? Like say, for example, who if the decision maker is participating in every meeting, then under itself, how many requirements you will sign off. It depends on that, right? Therefore,
like you said, like version 1, version 2, and then once everybody agrees on that, then we baseline the document.
Right.
So that's why I was asking like how many, like we need like different meetings.
If there is 100% of SDLC, 15% of time is given for requirement. If there is a 1 month project, like maximum, it should not take more than 2 months or 3 months for the requirements. If there is 1 year project, maximum 2 months or 3 months, not more than that.
Okay.
Right. Therefore, it depends on, again, if you're doing non-IT project, then it may be maximum 1 week or 10 days.
Oh, okay.
Right? If it is IT project, it will be in months.
Yeah, that was my question.
Right? Because in non-IT, what happens, we'll do mainly requirement workshops. Therefore, where supplier and client and funding organizations, everybody is part of those workshops. Therefore, then and there itself, you're confirming the requirements and confirm the cost. So the third day you can directly work on the project. Therefore, when defining the scope, therefore we have to identify through which elicitation technique we can do this. Right? Again, it goes with the experience. Right? Apart from adding the defining the scope, we also should consider from the business point of view, is there any risks? Right? What type of, let's say you have considered this as a requirement. Therefore, for implementing this requirement, is there any regulatory authority to be certified? Right? Or it is like, say, for example, you're doing healthcare project, it should be HIPAA compliant certified. Or you're doing some banking projects, should be BASIC 3 compliant certified, like that. Therefore, based on the domain, there may be some compliance need to be followed, regulatory need to be followed. Therefore, it depends on that also. Is there any constraints related to that? Right? Identify such risks. Right? And how do we measure these results? Therefore, after deployment, if we get 100% customer satisfaction, we are good. Or if we get good return on investment, we are okay. It depends on how we are going to measure it. Right? Or is there any alternative actions to be taken? Right? So for example, you have identified this requirement, but in the given technology, it is not feasible. Therefore, is there any additional feature that can be taken up? Like you are adding some, purchasing some commercial off-the-shelf software from third party and then embedding into this product. Or you are in-house yourself, you are developing it. What options we should consider? All these you will do as part of scope. Apart from that, you have to evaluate which is high priority, low priority. Again, prioritization is also part of scope. And again, you are monitoring how you're going to implement it in the software and how the end user is accepting it, all this. Or is there any modifications to be done in the scope? How you're going to add it? All these need to be considered when defining the scope. Therefore, product analysis, generate alternatives, facilitate workshops on this. Product analysis, you are analyzing the product and then seeing which are the new features to be implemented or what are the features for customers are preferring, like only these apps should be there in the iPhone, something like that. Or other apps are not acceptable by the customer. Or if there is below 20 years age people, this kind of app should be there in the application. Like identify the product, study the market, and then see how do you position this product in the market. Right? Product analysis. Or you generate alternatives. Alternatives means this requirement is implemented. This requirement is leading to so much cost. Or is there any alternate way of doing the other requirement, which will be less cost? Right? You are comparing with respect to time, cost, scope, or risk. any of these. And then identify like balancing between all the three: time, cost, scope. And you have facilitated workshop. This is basically from the elicitation perspective. This is one more technique. You are extracting more and more information, right? All these different techniques we're using. And work background structure is also one more. This we had to create. Therefore, identify what is the high level scope, then you can create this. Are you able to see the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll show some example of work breakdown structure. Are you able to see?
Yes, I can see.
Visual.
Yeah, it's a small font, but I can see.
Yeah, this is a visual file, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like this. Say, for example, you're planning for a bank robbery. Then what all the things you will plan? You're defining the mission, vision, project strategy, project objectives, right? And based on this, you're coming up with what is the compensation goal or development or end charity alternatives of any. This is basically planning for the bank robbery. What are the why we need to start the bank robbery? We'll have planning phase. Who is the team who should be part of it?
That's
What
a very good
projects-
example. This is what it is. It's a work breakdown structure.
Right. Right.
Okay, but it's a diagram of that.
Yeah. Hello.
It's a diagram for work breakdown structure.
Yes, it's a diagram for work breakdown structure.
So
Right.
normally we make the work breakdown structure in what is that? MS Project.
Yes, we can do there also. We can do in Visual also. Anywhere we can plan. Right.
Okay.
And you are dividing like this: planning, data gathering, design and development, execution, and post execution. Right? High level bank robbery is divided into this. Therefore, when planning, you have to define vision, mission, strategy, who is the team working on the project, right? And again, project description, like pre-cost estimations or target alternatives, if any. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, in this, we have even project objectives. Here we have and charity alternatives, compensation goals, if any, all this. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, this is from the planning we are dividing. Therefore, until it becomes the smallest unit of work, keep on dividing it. Data gathering, like your benchmarking. Benchmarking is compare yourself with other, like which bank is good or something. Choose the bank or choose the tools or softwares. Research or charitable alternatives, if any. Right? Therefore, after getting the money where you want to give, or reconciliation of the location, recognition of location, timelines, staff, schedules, right? And analyze like location, risks, threats, any alternatives. If this bank is not good or it is like in some other location or how much far from some alarm or something. Budget development, operational headquarters, all these you will check. This is from the data gathering perspective. Right? This is the pre-work that you're going to do before doing the robbery. You're collecting all the information. Then develop, select the charity to whom you want to give this money, or secure for funding, or mapping of the roles and tasks, procurement of materials, or develop risk plan, the project plan schedule, all this. Within what timeline you are completing all this. Execution, like distribute the funds, or get the money, or execute alternate strategy, right? And then secure this money or crack the safe. Like each task, right? How you're going to rob the bank. Post execution is after the completion. Examine the opportunities, examine the incorporate learnings, review and assess what went well, what went wrong, all this. This is one way of preparing a work breakdown structure. Right?
And also one way of becoming a robber.
Yeah. And there is one more example. Like this is what you do as part of a work breakdown structure also. Say, for example, the IT project. In IT project, what all the things will come? System engineering, hardware and software, or you can have COTS softwares, developed softwares, or project management, project control, configuration management, risk management. All these can be part of project, right?
Can you share this
Performance.
to me, or it is already shared?
I will share all these, no problem. These two documents I will share to you, right?
Okay.
Site implementation, data conversion, all these can be part of work breakdown structure. Therefore, in this, what are the subtasks you will do? System engineering, what all you will do? As part of hardware and software, what all you should do? How you select this hardware and software? Or if it is COTS, commercial of the self software, what all should be included? When benchmarking which vendor to purchase, or if you're developing the software in-house, what all should be covered as part of this, like in terms of requirements document, or you're preparing some requirements documents, or you're preparing, like after development is over, then we get the source code, but initially we are preparing requirements documents. Based on that, we are coming up with coding. And in terms of project management, how we are monitoring this part, like reporting in terms of tracking resources or time or cost, all this. In terms of requirement management, how we are done, configuration management, what we are done, or is there any configuration management plan document ready, or risk management plan document ready, or quality management plan document ready. All these different documents we are going to create.
CM plan?
Configuration management.
Okay.
Right, CM is like configuration management.
Okay.
Like SharePoint folder or some document will be managed. And if there is any testing, then how we are going to handle the test plan, test procedures, test results. If there is any special training required to the team, then how we are going to handle that.
The,
training
basically
plans.
of all the tasks in a project,
Right.
And how we're going to execute them.
Training delivery, training facilities. If there is any data conversion, like say for example, the data given in the database is different format. The data given by the accepted when the requirements by the tool is different. Say when you're using data migration projects, right? The data given by the client is in some format, data which is accepted by your system is in different format. Therefore, the need of data conversion. And how you're going to implement this, which sites we are implementing, or the locations, when their locations we are implementing, all these parts. Right, this is part of work breakdown structure. Therefore, you are creating this work breakdown structure also as part of this. Right, therefore, you can split into any levels, level 1, level 2, level 3, until it becomes the smallest unit of work of 8 hours or 16 hours duration. You keep on dividing it. Right, therefore, decompose the project objectives. Right, basically, this there are some tools available, ready-made tools available to create this work breakdown structure. Right, you can use them, or else you can put in Gantt chart and use it. Or there is one more tool called K-Plan. K-Plan is knowledge plan. Therefore, there is also one more tool available for creating this work breakdown structure.
It depends, like if the company is using any tool to create the work breakdown structure, or
right, then we can use the same tool. Right.
We can also
yeah. Hello.
Yes, I said we can also introduce any tool to the company if they are already not using that, and we think like this could be the better.
Yeah, it depends on the licenses. K-Plan is one tool where you can purchase and use them as a work breakdown structure. Knowledge Plan is one tool available. It is licensed plan. Right. Work breakdown structure, mainly you should able to understand like what is the scope of work, and when you're breaking them into deliverables, identify like major and minor activities in terms of budget or a plan. Then it will be like framework in terms of cost, time, or schedule. So for every task, we should tell who is working on that and what is the timeline, like 3 months, 6 months, 1 week, 1 day, all that, and how much is the cost incurred. Right? All these three should be added for every box in the work breakdown structure. Right. Sometimes you can automate also. If internal tool is available, you can automate these workflows. And then validate the scope. Right? Therefore, here validation is, there are two things. Validation and control quality. These are two different things. Validation is like acceptance of completed project deliverables by the customer, right? Whereas control quality is like testing. All the requirements are properly implemented in the product or no. That is called as quality control. Right? Validation is like formal acceptance by the team members, by the client. Right? But testing mainly focus on correction of the deliverables, whereas validation focus on acceptance of deliverables. Right? Quality control focus on, let's say, mainly verifying the deliverables, whether it is developed as per the requirement or not. Whereas validation scope will include the output accepted deliverables by the client. Right? Quality control process performed before validating the scope, or sometimes in parallel. Right? Whereas validating scope is performed after quality control is over. Right? There are two different things. Validating scope is basically you are ensuring that all the deliverables which are developed by will be accepted by your client. Those are part of validating scope. Right? Therefore, it occurs during monitoring and controlling activities, right? Like formal review and sign off by the project sponsor or a customer. It is critical for successful completion of the project. Therefore, it is part of scope validation. And also sometimes what all you have is like you are using some procedures, or you are having some automated systems or any analytical tests, all that are part of validation scope. Right? Therefore, you may automate some process, or some process is like manual. All that you will be analyzing which one to automate, which one not to automate, or what is the advantage of automation. All that you will check as part of validation. Right? By implementing automation, whether you are successful or not, all that. Right?
Okay.
And apart from that, inspect your plan, right? Because validation is the final sign off of your scope management plan. Right? Therefore, whatever you written as scope management, or what is in scope of work, out of scope of work, how you handle it, all that is signed off at the validation phase. Right? And inspect your plan. This is like you're giving to team members so they can go through them. Is there any changes to be implemented? Right? This is like reviewing basically. And apart from this, we have control scope. Right? Control scope is also one more task where we are mainly focused on like what are the performance against scope baselines. Right? Whatever you are given as a requirement, whether this requirement is actually used by the end users in their day-to-day environment, whether they are able to save time, cost, or effort, that you are analyzing as part of control scope. Right? Say you have signed off 10 requirements, whether all these 10 requirements are properly implemented in the product. Right? Whatever the signed off requirements are correctly implemented in the product. What is the value or vision you have defined for the project? All that value is, or the vision has been completely implemented and given to end users. What is the variance? How much percentage is given? How much percentage is not given? That you are analyzing as part of control scope. Right? This you are comparing with project management plan or any other project documents. Just you are updating your scope baseline document or scope management plan or project management plan. Or is there any corrective preventive actions that need to be taken up? What is the impact of changes that should be evaluated? All that we check as part of control scope. Okay? Therefore, this is basically what changes need to be implemented. Usually, it is discussion again between the customer and the project manager. Right? Therefore, customer will say, I want to implement some change. I want this to consider this time. Then again, project manager will go and again re-implement this, change the scope. It adds some more additional features what the customer wants, and then give it to the deployment. Right? All that is part of, it is part of even change control board also. Right. Therefore, so this is mainly you're satisfying the customer end of the day. Therefore, what are the features to be added? If there is any changes in the requirements, how you're going to handle? If there is any change control board, like how you're going to handle those changes. Right? There will be a client who is taking decision related to time and cost. There will be project manager who is talking about time and cost, and also timelines like impact analysis. As a BA, you are giving, and as an architect, you are telling is in a technical feasibility. And then the change control board chairperson is like client who is taking decision related to cost or time. Then if it is approved, you are able to implement in the current release, then you give it to developers, let them develop it, and then let the testers test it, then update the documentation, then release to the customers. How the changes has been handled, that we will be drafting as part of even control scope. Right? Is there any formal change control board or no? Right? If not, how we are going to handle it? Right? Therefore, again, even this change control can be even scope control also. Right? Scope, if say for example, 5% change in scope, like minor risk, 10% change in scope, major risk, 25% change in scope, critical risk. Therefore, how you are going to handle these changes in the scope? Right? Therefore, once your requirement is signed off, you will have to raise change request. Then once you get the change request, then again it goes to change control board. And what is its impact in terms of time, cost, or business impact? All that you're going to analyze and then take the approval. Right? Therefore, this is again a cyclic process. Therefore, how you are going to get it approved and how you implement this change and give it to the end users. Right? Is it required any rework? Is it required any redesigning of the process? Or any optimization is required? Right? Or any budget changes required? All these you're going to analyze and then re-implement it. As part of change scope control, you are not only scope is nothing but requirements. Therefore, not only requirements changes, you are also checking is there any documentation required or is there any additional optimization required, whether the performance is weak. Therefore, you have to upgrade the performance of the system. Right? Or is there any non-functional usability related requirements? All that also can be part of it. Sometimes you have developed a product, but it is not user friendly. Again, they will come and client, customer, or end user will come and say, I want some additional features which is user friendly. Then again, you will go to and change it. Right? Therefore, whatever you have written as part of scope, like it may be implemented, but even unknown requirements also may come as part of it. Right? Therefore, you should also consider control scope. Therefore, those are not, you should be prepared for unknown risks also. Right? Therefore, you should increase the time or increase the effort of the developers, or which is not committed previously. It is like rework for your project. Or documentation is like additional effort for your team members. Right? All such things need to be considered. Those are part of your control scope. Right? That's why you will keep, usually what you will do, like 15% of additional time you keep as a buffer time, so that if any such unknown incidents comes, you should be able to handle it. Right? When you're managing the time of the project. Right? Therefore, the best way to streamline scope control is to use project management software. It depends on organization to organization. Some companies may use, some companies may not use. Therefore, how formal the project management department in the organization, accordingly, you will use these softwares. Right? And how do you analyze the variances? Right? Here we are talking about, say for example, your plan for 1 month, but the project is taking 1.5 months. Or actually your plan for 5 resources to work on the project, but the effort is like the need of 7 resources in the project. Right? All such variances will happen. like schedule variance or cost variance, right? Or effort slippage, time slippage, all these you should be able to analyze. Actual is different, planned is different. Therefore, it depends on the experience, depending on like what is the best practice to follow, depending on like the requirements are not committed by the client, or requirements are not handled properly, or the changes is not handled properly. There are a lot of issues which may come in the project, or the domain knowledge is not there for the business analyst, or there may be technical feasibility is not there in the project. All that, there are a lot of chances like where it may go wrong. Therefore, all of that is you should analyze as part of variance. Why it went wrong? What is the root cause of it? Right? What is actual? What is planned? And how you're going to help this as a lessons learned for the next project. You should not repeat the same step for the next project. You will note it as a part of lessons learned or best practices. Right? All these are part of analyzing the variance. And there will be change control documents. I will share some of the change control documents you can go through, like change control policy or acceptance of the change. I'll share some documents related to this, you can go through. These are change control board templates. Before implementing the change, you have to document it. What is its effect of this change in terms of business, effect of this change in terms of other requirements, what is the time, what is the cost required for this change? All that you're going to put in a document and get it approved. Okay? Those are part of change control board templates. Right? I will share some of these documents you can go through. Right? Any other questions you have on this scope management?
Not right now.
Mainly what you should do is scope pre-purpose. Most of the times what happens, like you have the requirements, but project manager may not able to implement in the project. Okay? The requirements is called as scope creep. Therefore, scope creep occurs when unapproved changes are undertaken. Therefore, these requirements changes should be approved, then only you should take it. Okay? The change control board should approve whether this change need to be implemented, or signed off requirements need to be implemented or not implemented. Only approved changes need to be implemented. Right? And all these part of the scope management. Any other questions have? This is a summary of this. Planning the scope, collect the requirements, and collecting the requirements, you can use any of those elicitation techniques. Defining the scope is like you are preparing like high level scope document, and creating work order structure, you're splitting that project scope in terms of smallest unit of work of 8 hours or 16 hours duration. And then you are validating the scope, whether all the product, whichever you have developed is as per the scope or no. And then control scope is if there is any actual versus planned. Right? If there is any changes in terms of requirements, or in terms of cost, or in terms of time, actual versus planned, all that variances you will take care as part of scope. Like you're committed for 10 requirements, but in actual you're given only 8 requirements to the end users. There is a variance. Okay? Therefore, why such variance has come, or requirements are not proper, or what is the root cause of the issue? All that you will identify as part of control scope. Any questions you have? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, any questions you have related to this?
Yeah, if you can send me all the documents and the templates, then
Yeah,
I'll go
I'll
through.
share. Yeah, I'll share this, and you can also prepare some sample work structure based on these templates. Right?
Yeah, and can you also share me any project case study?
Yes,
So based on that, I can make a project charter.
Yes, I will share one project called cafeteria ordering system. You can go through that, and based on that, you can prepare. I'll share vision and scope document for cafeteria ordering system. Right? Therefore, that will be helpful.
But I think like unless I will create it by myself, and then only I will know more about it.
Yes, I will share the templates how to create all these. Then we can create and
And a case
show.
study, and then we can based on that case study, I can prepare the documents.
Yes, I'll share the document. You can prepare similar kind of documents, right?
Okay.
I'll share today on the case study. Within 1 hour, I'll share it. No problem.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Not so far.
Yeah, just go through this scope management. Tomorrow we'll see other topic.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to ask your questions in the comment section below, and we will reply to them at the earliest.